We're going back in time to the
First FNAF plush wave to give an unnecessary opinion.
That's right.
Hey guys, basically I'm back here, and today you already know what we're doing based on the title and thumbnail, so I'm not even going to tell you, but I will tell you that I have been wanting to do this kind of video for a while. I just never have been able to, specifically because, one, I would need every single FNAF Funko plush, and two, I would just need to wait longer. Actually, I didn't need to wait longer. I could have done this anytime, but I'm doing it now, so you're welcome. But hopefully you all know what a retrospect is, and it's basically just going to be me going back to the previous wave, and in this case, the very first FNAF Funko plush wave, and just giving my new opinions on them, because it's been like over a decade at this point, or nearly over a decade. Opinions are bound to change about older waves, specifically this one, I would say. I will say though, my opinions have not actually changed that much, but I haven't really shared my opinions about this wave specifically, so I think this is the best time to do it, so let's just get into it. First one we have up is Freddy, the star of the franchise, and I gotta say, I feel like Freddy is the one Funko plush that Funko never really could get wrong. Like, everything on here, you know, seems just about right and how Freddy should look. You know, people consider Sanji to be a peak of FNAF plushies just based on accuracy and, you know, how they're perceived in the game, because like most of the first like sets of FNAF plushies that were released and made were based off of the plushies found and seen in FNAF 4, because obviously those were the only canonical versions of the plushies that we actually saw. Well, I mean, I guess we had FNAF 2 as well. I don't know if we had one FNAF 3. We probably didn't because my brain sucks, but I don't know. But FNAF 4 was the one game to you know, highlight the plushies being a big thing, you know, for the story, I would say, especially with the crying child. And these plushies released shortly after FNAF 4, because, you know, that's when FNAF merch actually started to become a thing, and when FNAF was at its most popular, when people thought it was going to end, and it didn't, and we got like 10 more games. Okay, but I'm getting off track. Getting back to Freddy though, yeah, like I already said, I don't really have any problems with him, and I don't imagine many other people do as well. He's basically just what you would expect. It's Freddy Fazbear, you know, you can't really mess that up. Especially considering how you have every single bit of reference of Freddy now to make sure you get this 100% correct, and obviously I feel like they did it pretty well. And, you know, Funko would eventually lose this whole gimmick of adapting the actual plushies found in the game, but they still got the job done with Freddy. You know, I would say Sanji does it a little bit better simply just because of the size and, you know, the overall proportions, but, you know, Funko is a much cheaper solution if you're not willing to get the Sanji ones, or if you can't really get them at all. I would recommend getting Freddy because, you know, he's just the perfect one. You know, he's like the definitive perfect FNAF Funko plush out there. And not many others are like him. There are some that come very close, but not exactly like Freddy. Obviously, though, if you got this plush back in like 2016, he will wear and tear like his hat has for me. And also the material will not feel as soft over time. So just be warned if you even have a Freddy from 2016, which, I mean, if you don't have a Freddy from 2016, then you're probably just going to get one from like, you know, the 2022 re-release, which that's just what the tag says on all the re-releases. But, you know, those are bound to be more softer than this, but, you know, that's just how plushies work. It's not Funko's fault or anything. So, yeah, I've talked about Freddy long enough. You get the point. He's good. 10 out of 10. Let's move on. Oh! Bonnie the Bunny here is actually kind of an interesting one, because they actually decided to give him a little Tail, which not many other Bonnie plushies have done, you know, or at least during this time. Funko was probably the first to do it. I don't think Sanji did it. If they did, then I'm stupid. I would say Bonnie has such an interesting face, or at least mine does, and I don't know what it is. But Bonnie here pretty much gets everything right. You know, he's got his red little tie. He's got his floppy ears, which have a little material in them that I don't know. And it's like, it's not really like cardboard or anything. It's not super sturdy, but it keeps his ears, you know, like straight like that. But anyways, this is Bonnie. There's not really much else to say. You know, they got pretty much all his colors right. You know, down to his eye color, down to his base color, and his secondary color. Every little bit of Bonnie here is good. You know, 10 out of 10 once again. Now let's move on to kind of a downgrade. Chica here is by far considered by the FNAF community the worst one of the wave. And some people have dared to say the worst FNAF plush that Funko has ever made. Considering the plushies that we have gotten nowadays, that is by far, far from true, just because it's just not true anymore. Don't get me wrong, there is some things wrong here, but that's just how Funko was. They always are bound to get things wrong, especially with their first ever wave, and Chica just had to be the worst one, the worst pick. Sorry, Chica. I guess I should explain what is wrong with this plush, because some of you may think that this plush is actually really good, and honestly, here's my opinion. I really like Chica. There's nothing I have generally wrong with her, but obviously there are things that I wish they would have done instead of this right here. For instance, those dang angry eyebrows. I don't know why Funko thought that giving her angry eyebrows would be a good idea. It's not particularly the worst thing ever, but just comparing her face to literally every other plush in this wave, it just stands out so much more, and it also just doesn't fit Chica at all. Funko literally had the biggest reference to go off of for making this plush, but yet they just didn't. Freddy's eyebrows are just straight across his forehead, and like Chica's, you could kind of see the sewing line, like it has like a little curve, and I just don't know why Funko did that. There's just so many other things that they could have done besides that, but like that's really my only complaint, and that's mostly everyone's complaint, just because the eyebrows, they look stupid, but not in a goofy fun way. I mean, to some people that's probably the case, but for most it's not. I also just really don't like these feathers because they use a different material from the rest of the plush, which is more of a felt material that you would find in Michael's, but you could see that over time, if you were to get this plush from like 2016, like how I have for pretty much every single plush here, then you would notice that these are gonna get more dirty than anything else. And I mean, to be fair, the bib is also very dirty. If you were to have a FNAF Funko plush from 2016, this is bound to happen because you more than likely were a child when you got this. I will say though, they got the body pretty much perfect, or as perfect as they could get it. I do like the bib, obviously. Over time, yikes. Everything else besides the face, is fine. People will say that the beak is very flat and it looks like a pillar. Funko has shown to improve on the Chica beaks, with future waves ever since this one. And I am glad that they have done that, because the beaks, in the future waves that we could get into if this video gets enough attention and likes, and maybe Funko has obviously improved upon whatever this beak was, but it's not the worst thing ever. And that's generally my whole opinion on the whole wave, so feel free to click off. Bye. I don't personally hate or dislike many of the Funko plushies. To say I don't dislike any of them at all is kind of an understatement. My opinions, though, for pretty much every single FNAF plush wave made by Funko, though, it's generally not the most negative, which that cannot be said by many other people. Okay, I've talked about Chica long enough. Let's actually talk about money. So for whatever reason, when Foxy released, along with every other piece of FNAF merch, not just for the plush, but for the action figure and probably the pop figure, probably the McFarlane set, Foxy just so happened to sell the most out of every other character. Like, Foxy would always be Funko's #1 pick for, milking or just making the most merch of, because I just don't know what the whole deal was. I don't know why Foxy was so popular. I mean, don't get me wrong, Foxy was cool, and this plush is also kind of cool. I don't know why I say kind of cool. It is a cool plush. But it's still a whole mystery to me as to why Foxy just had to be Funko's #1 pick for making every future piece of FNAF merch just about him. Like, there was 3 Foxys in the Black Light Wave. Like, what were we doing? And yes, I say we because we bought all the Foxys. We caused this. To say Foxy should not have sold that much merch to begin with, I would kind of have to disagree, because this plush is honestly like one of the better ones in this series, or in this wave, just because they didn't really get anything wrong. Sure, there's this eye patch, and sure, there's nothing under it, but honestly, what could they do? They could not have this thing pop out. I mean, they probably could, but honestly, would we care that much? No, and no one really even cares now, so let's just shut up. Although I will say, for my Foxy, his teeth are so weird. Like, like his white tooth right here, it looks normal, but that is like literally a carrot. Like, what is that? And with all the previous plushies, if you've gotten them from 2016, like I've said a million times already, they are bound to not be soft anymore. The material is just gonna wear out and get dirty. That's to be expected. But Foxy is the biggest offender of this because of these tufts of fur. You can't tell, really, at least I don't think so, but I've had to glue these back together because over time, Foxy's hairs would be so weak and, you know, the material would just give up, and these tufts of hair, like, they're in two pieces. Over time, they will start to slowly come apart, and he'll have 6 tufts of fur instead of 3, and it'll look bad. I'm sure most people notice from seeing other plush tubers with their Foxies, you know, their hairs are bound to do this. Like, that's just the case for every single Foxy plush ever. So yeah, it's only the real downside for this Foxy, because, you know, when all the other plushies would wear and tear or get old or whatever, you know, it wouldn't really be much of a problem outside of just their fur not being the softest. But, you know, Foxy, it's a whole nother thing. They got pretty much everything else correct, or as correct as they could, because it's Funko. Now we're moving on to the last common plush, and then we're gonna get into the juicy exclusives. And the last common one is Fixed Mangle. I mean Funtime Foxy. I mean Toy Foxy. Yeah, this is a very confusing plush. I will say I am more than 100% sure that Funko was trying to adapt the Funtime Foxy design from FNAF World for this plush, because yeah, Funtime Foxy existed in FNAF World, but it looked more like Fixed Mangle if anything, because Sister Location wasn't even out yet at that time. But this plush specifically, I am sure, was trying to adapt the Funtime Foxy design from FNAF World. But you can clearly see key differences. For one, she doesn't have a bow tie, which, you know, that is something that Funko could have easily done. And I think I just need to talk about this lipstick tongue. What? That's just a tongue. But don't get me wrong, it's kind of funny and kind of cute just because it looks so goofy. But why in the world? What went through Funko's minds to give Funtime Foxy a tongue? Like, that is so weird. It's never happened before in any other FNAF games or any other pieces of FNAF media. Never has there once been a Mangle, a Fixed Mangle, or a Funtime Foxy render or video or anything of this specific character sticking their tongue out. What? Guys on this push are actually a little more interesting, as they're kind of very close together, and it's not like how all the other ones would be, where if you were just cutting off their eyes, it would just be that specific part. If you were to cut off, you know, Funtime Foxy's eyes here, you would just see she would just be another Roxanne or Withered Bonnie. Surprisingly, though, her tufts of hair, or at least mine, Funtime Foxy's tufts of fur, have not split apart, so that's a positive, I guess. I know my nitpicking at these certain details is making it sound like I don't like this plush, but that is not really true. I do really like this plush. You know, it's very clean, and while some things aren't clearly far from accurate just based on what they were trying to adapt, it still works for me just because, you know, this is one of the first ones to be made. But anyways, that is it for the common plushies. Now we're moving on to the elusive exclusives. Elusive is probably not the word to use, but who gives a fuck? Starting off with our GameStop exclusive of this wave, Toy Freddy, the first GameStop exclusive ever. Now you may be thinking, this looks a lot different, and that's because this is the restocked version. Now I know what you're thinking, that this isn't really fair for me to compare the restocked version inside to, like, you know, every other Toy Freddy and such, you know, because you may think that I need the original 2016 Toy Freddy and not the re-release, but to be fair, it's still Toy Freddy, and while mine is definitely far more different from every other Toy Freddy, it's still Toy Freddy. That's just how it is, and that's how I am with all my FNAF plushies. It doesn't matter if, you know, they're released at different times or they're restocks, they're still the same plush. I don't care that much. But considering this to be Toy Freddy, it obviously gets some things wrong, obviously, with the big difference, which is the color, the main base color. It's purely brown when Toy Freddy is like a very bright orange. But I obviously would have much preferred if Toy Freddy was a much more orange color. I mean, I will admit, you know, after 10 years of this plush existing, well, not this one specifically, but, you know, the original Toy Freddy, the design, just, you know, in general, for it existing, I will admit it has grown on me, and I don't mind it as much, but I would be interested just to see what an orange Toy Freddy would look like, or an accurate Toy Freddy. But besides the colors, they pretty much got every detail right, down from, you know, his cheeks to his buttons to his bow tie to the stripe on the hat. You know, a stripe that actually is meant to be there, okay, Funko? You hear me? And once again, while this may be the restock, it's still Toy Freddy, and I give him a 10 out of 10. I guess I didn't give a rating on any of the others, but, you know, I'll just do it at the end of this video. Now we're getting into the more elusive. I still don't know if that's a correct word to use. What does that word even mean? Hold on, I'm gonna stop everything. Okay, never mind. Elusive is actually like the right word to use in this, ironically, and that's because I specifically, I'm showing Golden Freddy, the Walmart exclusive. This boy is one of the rarest and most expensive FNAF Funko plushies. Now, I did not get Golden Freddy when he first came out in Walmart. Why? Because I was a stupid 5-year-old that didn't know places like Walmart existed. It's primarily why I got the restock of Toy Freddy, because I didn't know GameStop existed. Like, what? But this is the original 2016 Golden Freddy. There was a restock of Golden Freddy, but that was very, very rare, like, for anyone to find. But I am glad that I have the original, though, because this boy, while he has gone through some things, because, you know, I got this guy secondhand, and, you know, he's a much older plush, so his material is not the softest, he generally looks really good, I would say. And there really isn't much of a reference for a Golden Freddy plush in any of the FNAF games besides FNAF 2 and the custom night when he's on the desk, but that's pretty much it. So Funko just had to take it upon themselves to do some things here and there, and obviously he has his big white glowing eyes right there. But Golden Freddy, you know, is meant to be like an empty suit canonically, but his eyes do pop out, which is not really a bad thing, because I generally think, you know, it makes him, you know, more expressive. But considering, you know, just how Golden Freddy works, you know, in the lore, you know, it's like he shouldn't really be doing that, but, you know, not complaining that he is doing that. And I guess I should say I do really like this plush, you know, not just for it being rare. I mean, I kind of like it more for its rarity, but but I do think the plush is simplistic, and that's really all it needs to be, because it's just Freddy but golden, or just yellow. Really, it's just Freddy but yellow, because there's not really anything that says gold besides yellow. But now we're getting to the final plush of the first wave, which this one is by far the most elusive, the most controversial, and the most expensive FNAF plush to ever exist. And I had to get him secondhand. Shadow Freddy. This plush has roughly gone from like $200 to $300 to $500 from every single user on like Mercari or eBay that has this plush. This plush, for whatever reason, is so rare. I just don't understand why, even till this day. I guess I should mention that he is a Hot Topic exclusive, which explains why I got him secondhand, because I didn't know a place like Hot Topic even existed. But I have him here now, and I guess I'll mention that this is by far the worst one that I've had in the wear and tear. He is not tearing at all. He's actually still in good condition, but he is wearing down. Like, just look at it. You could see the fur. You could see the material. It's so crusty. And also his nose is a little bit crusty, but that's just it. There's not much I can say about that. But Shadow Freddy himself doesn't really have much to go off of for him, because there really wasn't a Shadow Freddy plush to base this off of. I would say the only real Shadow Freddy reference we had for a plush to be made of him was obviously the actual Shadow Freddy character as the Easter egg in FNAF 2. But that one was withered. And so Funko just decided, you know, it's just Golden Freddy but purple, so let's just do that, and that's exactly what they did. But it still works to their advantage, because generally speaking, this is canonically what Shadow Freddy looks like in the FNAF 3 minigames, so they aren't too far off, so you get a pass on this, Funko. But my general thoughts on this plush, I really like it, you know. I kind of like it for the same reasons I like Golden Freddy, so yeah, that's just it, you know. That's the last plush. It's a Hot Topic exclusive Shadow Freddy. It cost me $200. But anyways, guys, that is it for the Funko FNAF Wave 1 plush retrospect. I gotta say, I've actually had fun just kind of going over all this again, because I genuinely think this is probably the best wave of Funko FNAF plushies that we've gotten. All the other ones I have really liked as well, But when it comes to how accurate Funko depicts, you know, the characters themselves, I would say this wave takes the cake. But like I said, there are other waves that I like a little more, or just as much as this one. But you know, from a worldwide perspective and from everyone's perspective of this whole wave, this one is definitely the best one. And if you do want to see me go over all the other waves, because I don't know if this video will do well, but if it does and you guys want to see more, which I mean, honestly, I might just do it either way, but I will maybe, if you guys like this video, go over the second wave and the third wave up until the ruin wave, which that'll be like 5 minutes long. But let me give my final rating on all these plushies. Toy Freddy, I give a 9 out of 10. You know, Funtime Foxy, a 9 out of 10. Bonnie, a 10 out of 10. Freddy, a 10 out of 10. Chica, I'll give a 7 just because of obvious things. Foxy, I'll give a 10 out of 10. Golden Freddy, I'll actually give a 9.5 out of 10, simply just because, you know, there are things here and there, but he generally is still a very good one. And the same score is going to go for Shadow Freddy, where he's a 9.5 out of 10. So, my general rating of this whole wave together, 10 out of 10. It's a really good wave, and I would recommend anyone getting these if you have money. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like I said already many times, I'm just gonna repeat everything I already said. But if you want to see more of this specifically, like the video and let me know, and just watch it over again, because that really determines it. So yes, please just do it. I do want to do more of these. Okay, but I'm gonna go now. Thank you guys so much for watching. A lot of things have been going on, and I know I haven't really been uploading a lot in March, and you know, that's just probably how it's gonna be for the rest of March. So I'm sorry, but I am working hard, and I promise you what's coming ahead is gonna be great. I can promise you that. Anyways, I'm gonna go now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.
I stay lit, not like flickering lights. Good vibes and good times go well like chicken with rice. Squad goes, it's me, myself, and I, and just like smart homes. Trust me, the whole club know I arrived. I just wanna step over a velvet rope and people yell my name like a welcome home. Shower me in love, my umbrella's closed. The club going up just like how swellings grow. Put on my finest pair of clothes, club so packed I could barely move. Stepping on my pair of shoes, but I don't care, cause